Welcome back to the Last Frontier cabin. As you can see, it's a beautiful day here today. It's about noon and already 80 degrees. I just want to remind everyone, if you like my videos, give it a big thumbs up as it helps a lot, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Today, let's start off taking a look at the strawberry plants. As you can see, they are growing very nicely still. I'm starting to get some small strawberries. Right there is a nice couple. And here's the raspberry plants. The 4 plants I planted, I believe it was 2 trips ago. Of course, they're not looking very good, but they should survive. These other plants are looking amazing. So let's go ahead and get started on today's project. I hope you can see this gap right here. I can almost stick my finger in, my little pinky will go in up to the first knuckle. And as I move over, you can see the gap is getting smaller to where it's maybe 3/16 of an inch or so. And over here is about a 1/2 inch. So what happened was my cabin, a couple of the posts heaved during the winter time. So now I need to cut the post down and lower the center of the cabin. I took my level here and just across the floor, across 4 feet, you can see how far off it is. But if I raise it up about a 1/2 inch, it levels out perfectly. So the center of the cabin is about that high. So, which is about a 1/2 inch or so. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this bracket out, but first I gotta jack up the center of the cabin a little bit, take this bracket out, and then I'm gonna cut this off down about 1 inch. This bracket and the center bracket back there, I'm gonna cut off about 1 inch. And then I can put a plywood shim in here, then I can set the cabin back down and it should be level at that time. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I got it jacked up about a 1/2 inch. As you can see, I got the bracket out and I got a nice little gap in there. I was able to pull the bracket out. I just bent down the one side, and once I got it jacked up high enough, I slid it out this way. I got the bottle jack set up and it finally jacked it up. The log that I have it sitting on and the pavers underneath just kept sinking down into the soft ground that we have here. But finally it did jack up, so I'm gonna go ahead, mark my lines across, get out my Sawzall and go ahead and cut off 1 3/4 inches, and then I'm gonna put a 1 inch of plywood back in, and then when I set it down, the string should come right up to touching like that. Well, I got it cut off. So let's go ahead and put a couple shims in, and then I can move back to the center one and cut that off a little bit. As you can see, it's not sitting all the way down yet, but that's because that center post needs to be cut still. And once that's cut, it should settle down where it goes. As you can see, it's just staying right where it is, so I need to cut that center post off. As you can see, I have it jacked up. The log and the plywood that I have it sitting on sank down in the ground a good couple inches. So I bent the one side down, now I can slide it out. Nope, let me jack it up a little bit more. Okay, I slid that out. Now I'm gonna mark my line and cut it off. Okay, I got my line marked here, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off now. I got it cut right on the line. There's no line on that, and there's no line on this piece, so cut it right on the line. Let's go ahead and put the shims in and get it back down. Okay, this side is still up, and it looks like this side went down a little bit, maybe not much, but it's because these braces are actually still holding it up. It'll take a little time for them to settle down. In the winter time, inside my cabin, I put a center post in right in the pretty much the dead center of the cabin, and what it does is it sits right above this center rim joist that I have going down the center, and then I put a block like this on this side and one on the other side, and the post sits right on that, comes down, transfers the load right to the center post going down into the ground. That way the roof doesn't sag in the center. I have an idea how I might be able to get the cabin to drop down that ½ inch or so that it still needs to go. Let's see if it'll work. guess that worked. As you can see, it's almost level. It's just a hair high still, but it'll settle a little bit over time. The bracket is good and tight in there. I'll still need to put the screws back in, but that can happen anytime. If you can see, the center is down on it also, so that's good. I'll put the screws back in eventually here. So the only thing left to do in this project of leveling the cabin is to reinstall the brackets on the door for the deadbolt and the doorknob. Since the door was so out of square all winter long, I had to staple insulation the whole way up the door. And as you can see, the insulation came out eventually over time, but I still have all these staples that I need to pull out now. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, I got it all done. Those back in. I took out a couple screws over here this winter when I was trying to level the door. So I got those put back in. Let's see how the door closes. Perfect. Let's look at this edge. As you can see, it's almost perfect straight across there. Same width the whole way. Down the side is not bad. I need to get new weather stripping because several years ago a squirrel came over and ate the weather stripping, so I need to get new weather stripping and put in there eventually. So this side, as you can see, is pretty much uniform the whole way also. So that's good. So I think I'm gonna call this job leveling the cabin complete. Last night in the evening, as the sun was shining on this side of the cabin, I noticed something that I didn't like too much. You should be able to see the floor has separated from the wall. This is where I pounded on the floor to get it to drop down. Apparently the wall did not drop down also. Let's take a look at it outside. As you can see, there's about a 3/8 inch gap going across. The gap starts right there at about the edge of the door and goes clear across to right here. This is where I had the double doors put in, and then I took those out and framed it in for the time being. So the original wall went from right here over to the door frame, and that's about where the gap is. But I think I got an idea on how to fix this. Let's see if it works. I'm up here in the loft, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this piece of plywood out and then try to pound the wall down right here using the sledgehammer and get the wall to sink. This is part of the center wall, the beam that goes across and transfers the load down onto that front post that goes into the ground right here straight down. So let me go ahead and get started on that. Okay, I got the piece of plywood unscrewed and moved over, and then I took out this piece of insulation out of here, so I'm gonna try pounding on it right here. This whole piece, the post and the wall go right under here straight down onto that front post, so hopefully it lowers the wall a little bit. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. Okay, I hit it several times. Let's go and see if the wall moved down any. As you can see, the wall has come down about halfway that it needs to come down. So right here's the post that I was talking about. There's 4 2x4s right here that make up this center post, and it goes straight down to the post in the ground. It goes right up here into there, and right up there is where I've been pounding on it up in the loft. So the wall has come down, so let me go up and pound on it a little bit more and bring it on down. As you can see, it did come down a lot, but I think that's about all I'm going to get out of it at the moment. So I'm just going to have to let it settle over time to fill that in. Okay, now I'm calling this job leveling the cabin completely done.